Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you guys are at. This is a late one for us. My brain's kind of off, but me and Riddell always got to deliver that One Piece content. We're back with chapter 1157. Typical review we're going to always do. We're going to talk about some of the things that happened in the chapter. We're going to let you know our thoughts, what we think is going to happen, what should happen, all of that good stuff. If you like these type of One Piece videos and you want to see more of our content, be sure to check our weekly podcast at 9 p.m. on Tuesdays. Check out our Open Dojo, which is our community show, every other Thursday at 9. And also check out our Patreon, our Discord, Spotify. We got everything. We got something for everybody. A lot of good content. We talk Game of Thrones. We talk music, sports, games, and everything in between. Just for now, how you feeling, Rida?
I'm feeling good. I thought the chapter revealed some interesting dynamics that I didn't consider. It kind of makes me want more of these dynamics, and it's kind of crazy when I'm thinking, and maybe this was intentional. When you think of all the crews that we've met so far, I might even argue over the Straw Hats. I am very interested in every single member of the crew and their dynamics and their character and what they got. Now, of course, we got older versions of them, so we know a lot of them become badasses. But I think Rox's crew, and I think it could become a conversation, is more interesting than the Straw Hat crew.
I 100% agree with you. To address on the first thing you said, Oda making a slice of life would be killer. This is kind of, they're still doing stuff. Obviously, they're a pirate crew, but this is the closest to slice of life level interactions we kind of get. We got Shiki and his rivals, banter, Whitebeard and Stussy, things like that. But the thing that mostly stood out to me and was making these characters so interesting is perspective. And for most of this time, we've kind of understood Rox under the lens of Marines. Sengoku's the first one that mentioned him to us. So we get that one perception. He's this evil, ruthless guy with this evil, ruthless crew, and they're all killing each other. And then I see it from Loki's perspective, different person, one from a lens of admiration for Rox. Rox seems like a pretty cool guy. The crew is lawless, reckless, all of that the same, but it seems like their causes aren't as nefarious as before. The infighting doesn't have such a negative, nefarious outlook as before. Rox is not a bad, evil, villainous dude in comparison into what the Marines would have us kind of think. You kind of on the same wavelength as me with that?
I am. I think what it perfectly embodies it, when we start getting into the chapter, is some of the things that they are doing, definitely reckless, and we'll get into how they are probably okay if some of them die, I'm not gonna lie, but their first mission, so to speak, is they try to make it at first seem like it was against normal people, but they made the claims no, you were going to keep this away from people, so we're just stealing it from the bad guys. So I'm it is, and they're not necessarily good. But this also kind of reroutes back to the conversation we had on last chapter review. It's very similar to Luffy because Luffy is also not necessarily good. I just don't know if Rox will ever go to the point where he's he'll go out of his way to protect a place because he cares about it, like Luffy would. But Luffy and his crew steal from people that are bad too. They do very similar things than Rox's crew.
For sure. You got the cat out of the bag. So that's the start of the chapter, actually. Chapter's name is called The Legendary Bar. And then it literally kicks off with us seeing kind of the Rox pirates on what appears to be like a heist. Big Mom, they're running out with bags of money. They're getting the fuck up out of there. And outside looking in, especially with preconceived notions that we've gotten from what we've heard, it just looks like they're ransacking a kingdom. We come to find out this is a philanthropist nation that acquires money for the kids. And I guess one of the leaders in this place is yo, Rox, you're taking this money. It's for the kids. And Rox gives a very reasonable, simple answer. If it's for the kids, why do you still have it? Which is why the fuck do you still have it? You know what? I'm cool that Rox is robbing them. How do you feel right now?
I'm really starting to mess with rocks, man. And I feel like we might enter a point in One Piece where we have to reflect on some of the characters we've met so far. Like Big Mom and Kaido in particular. Like Whitebeard, I think we all can honestly say that Whitebeard has never shown he was like a bad person. He's never shown that. Obviously, he was a Yonko, of course. But under the craziness that Big Mom and Kaido have done, Big Mom was trying to create like a interesting type of nation where she brings all these different types of people together, was her claim. And Kaido was preparing for a war. What war was he preparing for? If we really kind of think about it, are they going to try to reshape our thinking? Go like maybe he was trying to prepare for a war against the world government. Who knows? We do know he wanted to go to Marineford, not Marineford. So I don't know. We might change our entire perspective on a lot of these characters.
To add to your point, because I think you are absolutely fry cooking. The Big Mom stuff, I'd never thought of at all, but the Kaido stuff, I thought about a little bit. And what I wanted to understand was, why did Kaido know about Joy Boy? Because the purpose of him creating that war was to bring about Joy Boy, because he was certain that Joy Boy would be the one that would be able to kill him, because that was his apex of his goal. He wanted to die. How do you know about Joy Boy? How did he know that a war would be needed to bring that about? That's where I'm kind of starting to think it's looking like all these characters went their own separate ways, and it might have been because of what they learned from Rox's involvement with certain things, or something along those lines. Because it seems like everybody, and I'm throwing my stocks in early. I said it on Dojo, and I said it last week. I think Roger picked his goal because of Rox. It was never clearly explicitly stated to us what Roger was doing on the seas before this event. I'm not going to lie, right now it looks like he's trolling, to be honest. I feel like he's a troll. But I feel like with whatever interactions that happened at God Valley, or just him clashing throughout Rox over the years, it skewed his idea of what he should be doing in order to better benefit the seas. And that's why he decided to find the One Piece. Perspective is important. I think Oda's doing a good job showing us the other side of what he kind of established earlier. Typical Oda stuff. He gives us a showcase of power. Whitebeard pretty much does the same technique he does at Marineford, kind of shift everything. And that's kind of where we get to see Kaido's love of the devil fruits kind of come to light. He's like, yo, man, I wish I could do that. And Whitebeard, kind of like a teacher there. Whitebeard is clearly like the Zorro of this crew, I would say. He's like the big brother. He's teaching everybody. Yeah. He's nice. He's polite. That's definitely the role on his ship. He's definitely giving off vice captain vibes. And then the rest of that is just interactions between the crew members. We got Big Mom and them getting out of there. Shiki. Big Mom's like, where's everybody else at? Shiki throws a bomb, basically bombs them, trying to wipe them out. It seems a lot more playful. Like, I mean, a bomb is it's dangerous. But it just seems like they're more of a friendly crew than what we were led to believe before. They're just trolling.
Yeah. We're also seeing the beginning of like the rivalry between Silver's Axe and Shiki in this situation, them having beef. I think this, I'm not gonna lie, we saw a little bit from like Slim Big Mom in the Whole Cake Island arc. I think when this gets animated, even just like in the manga, I think Big Mom is gonna get so many simps. Like she's the typical like, and she's like big kind of, you played the Resident Evil games,
of
Resident
course.
Evil Village.
She's like, yes.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. She's gonna be that for the One Piece universe, bro, for sure. And compared to like older Big Mom, where like she's not that likable. Like if we're being honest, this version of her, she's way more likable. So, shout out! They're making all these characters seem. It's a different perspective, like you said, and I'm invested. Like I'm interested. I want to learn more about these characters.
Moving right along. More character dynamics. Rox kind of talks with John about some treasure. He's like, "Did you keep the treasure safe?" John's like, "Of course." We know John is a treasure guy. Treasure's in good hands, and we get an interesting tidbit here. So as they're leaving this nation that they're plundering, this island, the Marines show up, and obviously this is a really powerful crew. The Marines aren't really an issue, but Rox kind of, not Rox, Whitebeard, excuse me, kind of notes the Marines got here surprisingly fast. Is our information getting leaked?
Yeah.
Which I believe, Riddell, coincides with the end of the chapter. Because they didn't make it explicitly clear when that conversation had. I'm thinking when we talk about it, that it might be Harold that's leaking this information.
Really? I was going to go a different direction.
Sure.
I have 3 candidates. 1, the guy that looked like a Marine, Silver's Axe.
Yeah.
He just looks like a Marine. So I was like, you're a candidate. The other candidate is Shiki.
I agree with you.
And my last candidate is Captain John.
Really?
I do think it's interesting that this character gets an interesting amount of screen time. Like they're definitely building him up as a very important character. And Rox has revealed that he has a level of trust to the point where he's the one in charge of the treasure, which is very important for a pirate crew. And we also led to believe that there is a level of greed when it comes to his love for treasure. So I could definitely see this guy as a potential traitor. It would shock me if it was like anybody else, like Kaido or Big Mom or Whitebeard or Stussy or any of that. But those are my 3. And then we'll talk about it a little bit later. I think there might be another very interesting kind of character to discuss that is involved with like potential spying. We'll discuss her a little bit later. I think
I'm with you. And just to offer some more information for the folks at home, Captain John is one of the few pirates in this universe. He wasn't beaten by another pirate. He wasn't beaten by a Marine. His own crew mutinied against him and killed him because he refused to let them know where the treasure was at. So it just goes to show that treasure means a lot to this guy, more than anything. Moving along, Rock's clearly not caring about the intel being leaked. He just wants to wipe out the Marines. And then we get some stats. This is the best crew in One Piece we've seen thus far. To read the statistics off, they were a pirate crew for 2 years, 16 undocumented raids, 76 sunken ships, 14 ports reduced to ash, 5 towns deleted off the map, and 1 nation brought to ruin. They violated they violated Article 18 of international law. Don't even know what the fuck that is.
Yep.
And then 25 criminal records.
Quietly erased.
And they make it very clear to us as the reader, even with Roger and his exploit sailing the seas, this is Rox's era. How do you feel about Rox's era?
This guy Rox is really something else. I think it's fair to say that he was like the king of the pirates before the Gold Roger. I'm curious if we tally up Luffy and the Straw Hats accomplishments, how they compare. Because at the very least, you could say he brought Dressrosa to ruin.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, not to ruin, but he's also like very messed up like other areas like Alabasta. Annie's Lobby, Wano. So Straw Hat Crew might have a pretty impressive...
Egghead's gone.
Invaded Impel Down and escaped. They might have a pretty impressive record in comparison. But yeah, Rox's crew is extremely impressive and extremely interesting. And the stocks are high on this crew, man. The stocks are high, and it just makes you think, what was the cause of their downfall? Why did they split up? Obviously, they all have their own selfish reasons why they're a part of the crew, but it has to be like monumental to tear this crew apart still with everything that's going on.
I agree. Moving on, we go back to boring ass Harold. We get some more Harold stuff, man. But I do like them expanding the politics of the world. And we're basically getting Harold kind of running into an issue where there's a non-affiliated government, there's a non-affiliated nation where he wants to kind of protect, but it's being attacked by a government-affiliated nation. Harold, being who he is, wants to protect all humans. He wants to help the affiliated nation, but the non-affiliated nation, but the affiliated nation kind of reminds him, look, you're vying to be a part of the world government. If you attack us, that's pretty much going to hinder all the work you've kind of done. Now, if you help us, that'll look good. They're pulling a little sleazy, scumbaggy route, trying to get him to kind of help out. Harold being Harold, fuck it. He dives in and he gives the world government and the propagandists exactly what they want. He makes headlines. King Harold exposed. Elbaf monarch sinks innocent battleship. Alliance with government revealed as a ploy, and it's by the World Economic Journal headlines. I'm wondering if Morgan's is still around during this time. I wish they would have showed us.
I think we really need to have a conversation on who is Morgan, bro. This man has affected narratives so much in One Piece. And it's obvious, like, he doesn't care about the truth. So what is his goal? Like, what is he doing? Is he affiliated with the world government? Is he Celestial Dragon? I don't know.
And it's weird, Riddell, because sometimes he'll publish in favor of the Celestial Dragons, and then others he'll publish in favor of pirates. So it's like he doesn't give a fuck who he doesn't care.
We don't understand what he's trying to do. Like, if you wanted to get more money, I mean, I think just being very nice to the world government is very easy way to it. I don't think it's a money thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know what Morgan's goal is, but it's very obvious that Morgan might be the most like top 5 impactful characters in One Piece.
He might be higher than that.
I was being generous with top 5. I'm not gonna lie.
Because like he published Nika to the world against government orders. They literally said, "Don't publish his wanted poster or him looking like that. Don't publish that picture." Front page. The new 4 emperors, by the way. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck.
What is this guy doing? I mean, there must be a reason why we never see his human form too. So whoever this guy is must be a crazy reveal.
Oda, I'm hoping you don't do it in the SBS. Give it to us in the continuity of the manga. Let him be like somebody that existed before the Void Century or something. Make him important.
Facts.
Where were we? Okay, we fast forward, kind of get to Elbaf. It's kind of Ida's Tavern is kind of where Harold's been living, man. I'm stamping it. He doesn't go to that castle, but he's kind of chilling in Ida's Tavern. That's his first wife. He got Harold. He has Rox there. Hajadine's there. Loki's there, and they're all kind of just chilling. And he's really the Rox that I was introduced to. I felt like would have just made Harold join by force. He's begging this man to join. He really, really thinks Harold should join this crew. He's heavy against the government. He thinks that Harold should have way more pride as a king. Probably they're respected as fighters. He shouldn't be groveling to the world government. He can be making a difference with Rox. And another thing that stood out to me as well is he feels the same way about Garp.
Mm-hmm.
Garp is actually mentioned by these two men in this conversation. And, Rox was basically like, again, perspective, I would think, kind of shorting his, like, intelligence. Fuck Garp. He's the government. I don't care. No, he's like, Garp, I know that guy. He doesn't like the top brass either. He should be a pirate. Like, it's very clear to me, at least, that Rox, his only enemy is the government. He doesn't care if you're a pirate. He doesn't care if you're a regular person. He doesn't care if you're a Marine. He may not be the most. He's not like Luffy, right? He's not happy-go-lucky, nice in that regard. He might fuck you up if you look at him wrong, but he's just a guy that just wants to take down the government. That's the only enemy to him. How do you feel about Rocks in this whole conversation?
There's also another thing we have to find out because yes, we know he encountered Emu. What did he find out from Emu? What did he learn from Emu? What did he? Yes, he saw Emu, and I think we're speculating that he might have saw like maybe Gunko or Gunko's mom too. What did he? What does he know? That's the biggest question when it comes to Rocks that makes him want to do what he's doing right now. Yeah, I think the garbage stuff is very interesting, and it just kind of makes all this stuff kind of come full circle when it comes down to all their different roles. And I like how Harold kind of thinks similar to Garp, where it's like, yeah, we could go to war with the world government, but is that the best option, especially for my people? When it comes to Harold, he has to think of his people in terms of the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, do I want to drag them all into this war? And then what if we lose and they'll just be enslaved or whatever? And then for Garp, he has to think about the best interests of all the people in the Navy. And we'll talk about Garp even more because he shows up later on in the chapter. But it's interesting, those two perspectives. And then we got Rocks right here who wants to just take them down. And he knows that both of them, Harold and Garp, feel the same way about the top brass that are like the corrupt ones. I am curious to see when it comes down to it, when Rocks has, I'm going to call it the Kiritsugu decision, where he has to kind of weigh his options between the people or accomplishing his goal, what he would choose. Will he take out Emo no matter what? I'm curious to see how that kind of plays out. But I thought this conversation was pretty interesting.
Just another slight thing I want to add. So the people who had any doubts about Harold, I think it's safe to assume Harold is in that upper echelon, like same regard as Garps, Rocks, all of them. They're way too casual, and he's just way too required. There's a lot of like, I don't know how top you are into like the One Piece Reddit community, Twitter and everything. People aren't sold on Harold yet. And I get we haven't seen him like fight or anything, but I think Harold's up there. For him and Garth to be having fun, laughing at each other and stuff, I think it's safe to say that he's pretty much up there.
Yeah, and you have to remember, like, the world government is not pressing him for a reason. And despite everything he's done, they're still considering membership because they realize how valuable they are, and that starts with Harold. So, yeah, I don't know how you doubt Harold's strength at this point. I'm not going to lie.
And then continuing on, there's actually mention of John Giant. So, if y'all don't remember who John Giant is, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong. This is a giant that Whitebeard kills during Marineford. And it was actually a big deal. They're like, oh, he instantly killed John Giant. And everybody was shocked. So it turns out this is actually the same guy that they mentioned all those chapters before. Very weird character to bring full circle. But, Harold's kind of talking to Rocks about how there is a way for diplomacy. Even some of my kind have begun joining the Marines. And John Giant being one of the notable ones. And he wants to get more of his kind of soldiers to follow suit. And he talks about how their boundless strength could be used to kind of, better the world. He has this very optimistic outlook of what the world government kind of stands for and what they're doing, which if he went to Mauricio, I'm sure he saw slaves. I'm not sure why he's holding on to this very idyllic look of the world government. And then Rocks is kind of more funny banter. He's like, yo, Ida, talk some sense into him. And she makes a little joke about how she would tell Harold to choose his friends more wisely. So like Harold gets kind of mad. Just cute stuff. Oda's giving us cute, actual real character dynamics through a flashback. Like he's putting his foot into this. This is really good.
I'm there with you.
Fast forward to the Navy HQ. We get some more characters and some more dynamics. So we get a young Garp, we get a young Sengoku rocking the bowl cut afro, and then we get in a young Suru. And then we also get Kong. Not much from Kong this chapter. I was hoping we would have got more dialogue. I'm interested, like, who he is as a person. We know he's currently the liaison between the world government and the Marines in the current timeline. And they're basically just talking about the Giants to kind of parallel what Rox and Harold are talking about. They brought up something about if a giant were to roll over, they could kill somebody in their sleep. But Garp is the one that makes an interesting statement, and he's like, if he had that power, what he would be able to do. And that's what kind of stood out to me. Like, he says, that's the strength I'm looking for. He doesn't feel like them just joining the Navy is enough. How do you feel about how do you feel about Garp's statement? And what do you think he means by that? That's the power that he's looking for.
Garp is such a weird character because we all know he's the hero. I think there's speculation that he's probably the strongest Marine for the most part. And we always like never knew, but we kind of like, okay, he's vice admiral. He just didn't want that responsibility. That was the assumption. He legit says he wants that responsibility. So something had to change where he was like, I don't want that responsibility anymore. Mm-hmm. Where he could have, not could have. He definitely would have become a fleet admiral, like 100%. And it could be, again, we have to like reroute everything. Whatever happens on God Valley drastically changes who Roger becomes, who Garp becomes, and that is just going to be a monumental moment.
I'm with you, because remember, Garp hates the hero title. He does not like it, and he never has. I think he called it one of the biggest things in his career, if I'm not mistaken. But it was very interesting to see. Given a chance, there was a point where he would have actually taken more responsibility. Now, you just mentioned God Valley. To me, there has to be more. Like, there has to be more. Unless there's just something crazy on God Valley that we're missing. Because in Kuma's backstory, all it seemed like it was the slave auction with the 2 fruits as prizes. But what that other thing is going to be very important to the story. And it's bothering my brain that I can't figure out what it is.
It's going to be such a huge reveal. And I mean, it has to be more than them finding out Emu's existence. Like, there needs to be another layer to that, which, I mean, at this point we can say it's probably the reason why Garp decided, I'm not going to become an admiral and become a watchdog for you. I'm going to start an organization called Sword for a reason. And then Roger going like, okay, I'm going to go out for this voyage, find the One Piece, do all that other extra stuff. Like, probably, more than likely, do you think it probably has to relate to like the Void Century and maybe the stuff regarding the D-Clan? I'm guessing then. Like, it has to be historical review.
It would have to be. It has to be something larger than life, like in totality. Because I don't like. What would make Garp's ideal switch from he already hated the top brass? What could be so much more worse that not only does he hate the top brass, I need to restructure the whole system from within, and I need to make sure I don't have any power so that they can't keep their eyes on me and make me do things I don't want to do. It's very interesting how, like, this far into the end game, Oda's still like playing with the story. He's making it very confusing.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting that all 3 of them, we could probably say they didn't succeed in what they were doing. So it's up to the next generation, and whether you agree with it or not, the next generation has been spelled out for us. Mm-hmm. Blackbeard, Luffy.
Yep.
A boy with pink hair. A boy with pink hair, boy.
It wouldn't make sense, Riddell.
You know what would have made more sense? If it was Ace.
I would have liked Ace.
Yeah.
I would have liked Ace. And I like the Sabo replacement for Ace too. I just think Kobe bridging the gap between himself that we saw when we first saw him on Alvida's ship and all of these characters, it's not believable to me, bro. It's just not believable. It's not.
I'm with you. It's not really believable to me either, unless like he gets a broken devil fruit or something like that.
There has to be something extra. Because I'm thinking Blackbeard took 40 something years to get where he got. Luffy was training since he was like 6, the moment he got his fruit. Trained with it for 12 years before going to sea. Like Shanks, all these other people, they put a lot of work into this. When we're talking about prodigies in the One Piece story, Kobe would be considered probably the biggest prodigy in the series. He's caught up so fast.
He did. I mean, learning from Garp can only, to be fair, Garp is like probably the strongest non-devil fruit user we've seen. But still, even that, I mean, I guess Roger too, like Roger and him. Still, that's like learning from Garp can only take you so much. But I don't know. Well, it would take a lot for me to believe it. I am there with you. It would take a lot for me to believe he can reach their levels.
Because I'm saying, like, Garp got Aokiji to an admiral, but Aokiji's also like 48. You know, like Kobe's younger than Luffy. That's crazy.
And he was trash when it was. Now he did grow up a lot, but still, they would have to be something crazy. We'll see. Maybe. Oh, let me. Do I want to piss off Miles? Hey, maybe he gets Akanu's fruit.
That'd be a crazy passing of the torch. I don't know how I feel about it, just hearing it right now, but that'd be crazy.
It would.
My passion burns the hottest. Ooh, that's so cringe. Please no.
No, they could just replace Kobe with like Dragon, to be fair. But I don't feel like it works with the dynamic they're trying to do. With like,
for sure.
So we'll see.
We're cutting from the Marines and now we're going to Hachinosu, and I think it's pretty clear that Morgan's is kind of running the paper. We know Morgan uses the Pelicans, drop it from the sky. Males drop it from the sky, so Morgan's is around. And there's the news that Shakiyaku has quit the Kuja Pirates. Woo, woo. And all the pirates on the island are kind of losing their mind. Some of them are talking about how they only set sail on sea just to meet her and that their whole life is ruined. One guy's like, I wasted my youth. And we cut to Gloriosa and Big Mom kind of talking. And Gloriosa doesn't know what the fuck is going on. She doesn't understand why Shakiyaku would kind of resign. We know that Gloriosa was probably won in a Davy back fight, and that's why she joined. But there was no reason for Shakiyaku to leave the crew. And Big Mom is just like, what if she's just chasing a man? And then Gloriosa kind of responds, what would you know about chasing men? You don't care about love. You pop out babies. All you do is pop out babies like popcorn, which is a crazy blow. And also a hint that Katakuri, Oven and them boys might be born around this time. Where they're at, who knows? But Big Mom's already been having kids. So that's pretty interesting to know.
That was. I'm gonna try to zoom in. Is there kids in this panel? Yes.
Is that Katakuri on her shoulder?
And then there's I think that's
Oven. That's Oven. I never noticed it. That is Oven.
And then there's one more kid right next to Gloriosa on the right.
That would have to be, I can't think of his name. He's so ass. But that's their other brother. Oven, Daifuku. That's Daifuku. That's his name. Where's Peril Sparrow at? Because Peril Sparrow should be older than... Okay, doesn't matter. Point being, Big Mom is at least on kid number 5 here. Because we know that Peril Sparrow and the girl with the mirrors are the 2 oldest kids. First son, first daughter. And then Katakuri, Oven, and Daifuku came next. So she's on kid 5 right now. I didn't catch that, Riddell. I just thought they were like dolls or something. That's literally Katakuri on her shoulder.
Yeah, like Big Mom is. Oh, people are gonna make some crazy things about Big Mom moving forward, man.
Her kids were in the Rocks crew. That's crazy.
I think,
Or they could have just stayed on Hachinoso. I might be tripping.
which is very plausible until
Yeah.
she built her own island. So we know, obviously, one of the dads, the short dude.
Mm-hmm.
Can we assume that the other dads are also on Hachinoso as well?
Maybe.
A lot of people had the theory that Katakuri is Kaido's son.
I don't think so.
I feel like it would be a bigger reveal.
That would be insane, but it would also kind of make the brother sister dynamic she was kind of forced. That'd be really weird. It'd be like Jamie and Cersei type shit.
We'll see. Oh, she also did say Gloriosa quit so she could chase after a man.
That is true.
So, I mean, the assumption is Whitebeard, of course, but it could not be Whitebeard. It could be someone else. We'll see how that plays out. I think the most interesting thing about this conversation, though, is she alludes to the idea of there must be another reason why Shaki's here. She's not just here just because. Sure. And my theory is she's spying for Go Roger. More specifically, she's spying for Rayleigh.
Think so?
I don't see any other logical reason why she would be here. And I think at this point, there needs to be a realization that this crew is kind of like growing very large, about to do something crazy. So keeping tabs on them would be very wise at this point.
So you think the Rock Pirates have 2 moles then?
Yes.
Interesting. What if they had 3 moles? No, I'm sorry. Continue right along. So Gloriosa kind of says she would never forgive Shaki if she went after Roger. Which would mean, like, is Gloriosa after Roger?
Yeah, I don't know why she would leave her crew to go after Roger.
Why would she join Rocks if she wants to be with Roger?
There's a lot of weird things going on with the Kuja Pirates, definitely seems.
And then we get some more slice of life style moment. We got Whitebeard and Stussy talking. And she's like, it's always Shaki this, it's always Shaki that. At least you've got your eyes for me, right? Newgate. And he's just like, I've never been in love with you. Like, just stone cold. I never, like you said earlier in the chapter, I never thought we'd see Whitebeard in just funny moments. He doesn't seem like the funny type of guy at any of the times we've seen him. But I thought that was pretty cool to see. And then lo and behold, Shaki pulls up to
Before
the
we
island.
start really diving into Shaki, though, I do think another thing to say on why this is so interesting is because we don't get this from the Straw Hat crew. Other than like Sanji simping, we don't get like these dynamics, like these romantic dynamics, because Oda doesn't really do that. So the fact that we're getting it so much from Rock's crew, also they're way older than Luffy's crew, to be fair. Well, for the most part, other than a couple people.
Yeah.
I think this is just it just makes this more interesting to see like them willing to go down this route. We'll see. I mean, the Sanji stuff, the simping stuff, like a lot of people don't even like that anymore. It's kind of getting old.
The real only thing we've gotten, because let alone not just love in the same crew, but love at all, it's really only Luffy and Boa. The Sanji simping stuff, and then stuff that kind of seemed like it's sprinkled in there. People got the Robins and the Laws, stuff like that. But he's never explicitly like had characters like love anybody for real. That's just not something he's really done.
I feel like they're going to pull the trigger with Sabo and Koala for sure. Mm-hmm. And then
Kobe and his girl and his crew.
Oh yeah, Akanu's niece,
daughter, whatever she's supposed to be.
Oh, we got to watch out for that one. I do. I wonder if they're gonna revisit Sanji and Pudding. I don't know, but Pudding's captured now, so I feel like they should.
They should. That's a good one.
Other than that, other than like backstories with like Senior Pink and whatever, no.
Yeah, scarce. Interesting.
So I don't. All right, let's talk about the character you hate right now.
So we got Shocky, man, the world's most beautiful idol. Woo! Everybody instantly turns into simps. Everybody. Whole island turns into simps. They're talking about how she smells good. The land's too filthy. They got to clean it up. And then she comes, and everybody's under the impression that she's going to join the Rocks crew. And she's like, no, I just want to live here for a while. She's like, quitting won't matter. The Marines will still come after her since she was a pirate. And she's just going to hide out there. And, you know, she kind of flexes her charm a little bit to say, you guys are all going to protect me, right? And they all just drop dead, clearly going to protect her. Rocks actually gets wind of this. He's like, you know, what the fuck is going on my island? What's happening? He just comes back, and then they learn that Shocky's there, and he's like, you know, let me go investigate. What's she doing here? Before I got to that last page, I didn't think Rocks was going. I'm like, Rocks is king, stoic, alpha, all of the bullshit came in my head. I was like, there's no way Rocks is going. He's going to stand 10 toes. He sees her. Heart immediately pumps out of his chest. I'll give you a hand.
Her fit is kind of like
she's cheating. She's cheating.
For sure. That fit is fitting. You know what I'm saying? She got it on for sure.
For the people at home, very short, made cook style outfit. Rocks is going. Captain John is going. Whitebeard is going in the picture. Looks Shiki's going. Nobody can resist. And then, well, all this lovey-dovey, the place smells great. The first bar opens. We get back to business. We go to the 5 elders. We got Marcus Mars. And he's basically telling, you know, Harold, if you want us to admit you into the government, the warriors of Elbaf have got to kill Rocks. And that's how the chapter ends. How do we feel about Shocky and her arrival and what it means for the story? And how do we feel about the ultimatum issued by the elders?
I think to also add to it, which is probably where the big like concern is when it comes to Shocky's role, is when they said the inhabitants of Hachinote came to covet her as a treasure.
Mm-hmm.
An irreplaceable crown jewel. Unfortunately, a treasure is always the inevitable target of theft, kind of alluding to the idea that someone will try to kidnap her at some point.
My crash was validated.
Her being a big storyline, yeah. I just don't know if she'll be the main treasure that everything's going to be about, but we will see. I mean, it might be validated. It might be, you know.
My only thing is, if she's used as a tool to get all of these characters into a central place, and there's a bigger thing like at hand, that's A-okay for me. If she's the big thing that creates all of these events and causes it to happen, that's where I'll kind of be like, Oda, what's going on, bro? And they're kind of joking on the live. They're like, what if the one piece is that, you feel me? And I was like, I hope it's not, because that's dumb. Like,
I don't think Oda will be that stupid, but that might be the biggest fumble in like fiction history if it's that. I'm not gonna lie. I do think she's here. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious to me at this point that she's here for an ulterior motive. Like, she wants them to protect her. She just stops Bar. She uses her sex appeal to convince them to stay. She's here for a reason. What is that reason? We don't know yet. I think it definitely is to get information from them and potentially pass that information to Roger's crew, specifically Rayleigh, the only person who's not affected by her charms. But the question is why they're trying to do it. But I think you could argue that what we see from the 5 elders at the very end kind of alludes to it, that they are doing stuff to try to take out Rocks. Like they want Harold to take out Rocks, as said here. So there might be some information getting put out. Maybe Garp is told that he wants to take out Rocks. Maybe Garp tells Roger, and Roger is like, let me find out what they're doing to make them such a big target for the world government. So that's kind of where I'm at on where this is going to go. But we will see. I mean, I think her getting kidnapped, considering she's like such an important thing, could like shake things up, like what is going on, and like start cause some like infighting, which will be sure whatever. But I do think a lot of what's going to tear down Rox's crew is like betrayal, mostly, because this is a crew that you can't really trust at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I also will say this. I don't think Harold will turn on Rocks.
I think he would. I think he would. And I think this is where I'm going to dive into the part of the story that explains why Loki felt that way towards his father and was so comfortable with killing him. I think he would. Because if we remember, there's a panel with Loki and Ja Rule walking together in the castle, and he's like, he says something along the lines of like, I can't stand to be around somebody who'll just let themselves be a slave to the world government. And this is while Loki's an adult that he's saying this. So I'm thinking Harold starts getting real shisty to get in bed with the government. That's what I'm starting to think. And we saw that he got Domai reversed. It probably could have been he finally understood what he was doing, and that's why they tried to reverse him in the very end or something like that. But I do think I think Harold's going to get shisty with it. I think he is, and I think he's kind of warranted in doing that because at the end of the day, all he's trying to do is have the best for Elbath, and at least currently, he thinks that them being a part of the government is the best course of action. So,
I think it could be a situation where he takes advantage of a circumstance, but I don't think he's the cause of the circumstance. Right now, it does seem to me that whatever is going to happen in terms of the final conflict is going to involve he's going to be there, Rox is going to be there. I'm going to guess that Big Mom, Kaido, and Whitebeard are the only ones going to be there as well. Because obviously they're the ones who become a Yonko, and maybe this inspires them to become Yonko as well. It would be kind of crazy to see whatever happens on God Valley changes Harold, changes Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido, changes Roger, and changes Garp. That would be kind of insane. I think you could probably argue that is the biggest moment in One Piece history thus far at that point.
not for sure. It's just crazy to see how much like influence Harold kind of held over the world. 3 of his crew members went on to be Yonko. His son went on to be a Yonko. Like, just a lot of influence behind one man, and we still don't know what the fuck he can do. We don't know where he's from. We still don't know anything about him.
You meant to say Rocks, not Harold.
I said Harold.
Yeah, you said Harold.
I meant Rocks. Yeah.
Yeah, Rocks is really him. I don't know if I've ever seen a character who's revealed so late in a series to have this much impact, but Rocks is legit. What was the first time we got the Rocks reveal? You remember?
What, like him actually on screen or like a silhouette and stuff?
The silhouette, like the first time we got the name Rocks D. Zebek.
Was during Reverie, I believe, a little bit after Dressrosa.
Okay. Yeah, this man is him. He's living up to the hype. Not gonna lie. And then it also makes me question it a lot. How does Roger become like? I think you have to say the statement bigger than Rocks. What does Roger do to be even bigger than him?
It's funny that you mentioned that because so before you joined up, I was kind of saying I always held Whitebeard in contempt because I always saw him as the second fiddle, and I was like, damn, now I'm learning Roger was second fiddle too. he wasn't able to get nothing done until Rocks was gone and dead. So it's like, how do you separate from yourself from somebody that enigmatic, that great? Um, and I'm just like, did Rocks just not know about the One Piece? Like, how did you? It just doesn't make sense. You got into Emu's chambers, no One Piece. You know, like I don't understand.
Yeah, Roger. I mean, maybe this all just relates. No, Roger's infamy is different from Garp's infamy. Garp's infamy comes mostly from, well, everything that he does, but a lot of it becoming the hero. Roger's infamy comes from his final voyage mostly.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever he does in his final voyage is bigger than anything Rox has done. So I wonder if we're ever going to get that final voyage too. That I don't think we will though. What Roger actually does.
I think we will. I think we will. I feel like we have to.
It's such a big thing considering at the very least try to tie it into like everything Luffy's done in comparison.
My thing is, what made Rocks? It's like we saw Stabo find Emu accidentally. What made Rocks just say, you know what? I just know to go here. He beat an admiral to get there.
He did. Beat his ass.
We got to figure out who he is. We got to figure out who he is.
There's still more mysteries behind everything that's going on. And the catalyst to all of this at the end of the day is Emu, whoever Emu is. So
what I'm scared of, Riddell, and I guess this will be the last thing. If we ever get a story where we get a perspective shift and kind of see Blackbeard and what he's doing, and see if he winds up being a character that's like almost as likable as Rocks. Because I'll say in his first reaction on screen, he seems like a generally good dude. Now it's like he's a scum of the earth. But what if he's really not, you know?
Yeah, I don't think we'll get that because one, he's recruited like actual like serial killer criminals. Like,
to be fair, these guys are serial killers. Shiki's pretty bad.
Shiki's bad, but he's like typical pirate bad. Do you think he's like serial killer bad? I feel like there's a difference.
Shiki's horrible. Shiki literally only cares about warfare and bloodshed. Like this is like early Shiki, but like the Shiki that's described in like the movies and like SBS and stuff, he's like the worst of the worst.
Maybe you could argue that after this he becomes even worse. I think that's fair because after this, Big Mom and Kaido become much worse.
Terrible. Yeah.
So I think you may be able to argue that what we can say for sure is Blackbeard just recruited like straight criminals.
Like literally from jail.
Like straight terrible people. Also the way he killed Whitebeard was kind of wild. And the way he set up.
So?
Yeah, I mean Whitebeard kind of like raised them, right?
So?
You think Rocks would do that? I don't think Rocks would do that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how friendly he is with Harold. I don't.
So here's the thing, and this is why I think so. The same way Blackbeard felt that he needed Whitebeard's fruit, Rocks feels like he needs two fruits. Now,
would he kill Harold for it though? I just don't think he would. Based on what I know about Rocks now,
I don't know. Because the thing is, his ideology is that to get the most of the fruit, you have to be a giant. That's what he's relying on. That was part of his logic.
Fair. I think that's fair, which is why he wants to recruit Harold. I think that's fair. I feel like we just seen way more like blatantly terrible things, and I think the One Piece from Blackbeard, that it's hard for me to see because even everything we've seen from Rocks, they're also trying to shape it in the sense that they're doing bad things, but they're doing bad things to other bad people. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can make the same claim for Blackbeard, but also I think it makes more sense for Blackbeard to be more ruthless because Rocks failed at the end of the day. So maybe he just didn't go far enough. Maybe there was a point where Rocks' kindness was the reason why he failed in the first place.
I'm with you on that. Actually, makes sense to me. I mean, the idea is that the new generation has to do something different from the old. So maybe the ruthlessness is the answer.
Yeah, we'll see. I definitely don't want justified villain vibes from Blackbeard.
I do. They're meant to be two sides of the same coin. We gotta align somewhere.
I feel like at that point you should just be even killed because they're probably gonna do the same thing with Emu. There's probably a reason why Emu did everything that Emu did at the same time. So we will see, man. One Piece is freaking good, man. Freaking good. But we'll see. They could fumble crazy with the Shocky stuff. So we will see.
Well, at least it's no break. Anything else you want to add?
I think it says break next week.
Am I blind? Oh my god, it does say break next week. This weak ass chapter, man, for a break.
Trying to give you suspenseful with all the women in this chapter.
I will say, usually when he comes back from a break, he drops a banger. So hopefully we get something good. Anything else?
No, I'm good. Curious to see what happens next.
This is our chapter 1157 review. We told y'all a little bit about everything. Rot, Shocky, Garp, Harold. A lot of characters, a lot of interactions, a lot of revolving doors, and a lot of questions left to be answered. Once again, if you like this video, give us a like. Let us know what you think. Right now, I'm Team Rock Supremacy. We're a fan of Rocks over here. And we're going to keep doing these reviews. We do them once a chapter drops. We're pretty much on it that night or the morning after, so be on the lookout for those. We also have a host of other content. We do 2B Hero X. We do Game of Thrones, Tower of God. We cover a lot of different content over here. We got our main podcast on Tuesdays, Open Dojo every other Thursday. Check out our link tree to be part of the community, Discord, Spotify. We have it all. We appreciate y'all for coming and supporting us. Until next time, peace.
We hope you enjoyed this